All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business and see if it has BSS for its local high intent keyword search and its city high intent keyword search. So we're back in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that, pinned video, home video, somewhere on this profile. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if the boudoir photography business is rising, we're probably bringing in everyone across the entire intent spectrum here. High intent on the left to low intent on the right. And, if a boudoir photography business is falling, most likely we're missing chunks of people that we're not bringing in through this boudoir, somewhere in this intent spectrum. So over on the left, we got the highest intent peeps. So we're talking about BSS here. Get to that in a little bit. And highest intent peeps, they're searching for boudoir photo shoot right now in their city on social media, social search, or on Google search. And we're over on the other end on the right, we got our sister brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We're talking about BLCS, and that's getting in front of the lowest intent people in our city, which is actually the highest volume of people. But with that brand, we currently only work with the boudoir photographers running around 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. All right, now on to BSS, boudoir search sameness. This is when a boudoir photographer has 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots, we're on page 2 or deeper. I mean, we're dead right off the bat, man. Because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. They are page 1 search only. So approximately 80% of searches, dude, that's literally the bulk of the market. This is who we're focused on. This is who we care about. And that's page 1 only for them. And 1 slot on page 1, that still ain't good enough because there's 10 organic slots on page 1. If 9 are other boudoir photographers, that means a buyer, potential buyer, simply going to be, click and open everyone's link, everyone's website, blah, 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 blah. And actually, getting price quotes from everyone, price shopping everyone, price comparing everyone. Probably won't even remember who they reached out to. So there'll be so many people. Page 1 only though, so we're assuming the bulk, that we're only focused on the 80% here, approximately 80%. They're page 1 only peeps. Now 0, 1 slots on page 1 of Google is actually not normal. It's a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. And those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So yeah, basically everyone knows about market saturation. Someone gets a new iPhone and they throw out their Google My Business profile that they are now a boudoir photographer. They got their boudoir photography website, competing with us to rank on page 1. Okay, cool. Also, someone gets a new camera. They're competing with us to, now they're posting in the mom groups on Facebook saying they now offer boudoir as well. And so market saturation, market always gets more and more saturated. Markets always get more and more saturated over time. And we saw, big market saturation when COVID hit. People lost their jobs, couldn't work, still needed to earn money though. And everyone's got a great camera attached to their phone. That's when a ton of boudoir photographers hopped in, making the market more and more saturated. Now, the false belief of page 1 inequality, this one basically nobody knows about because the implicit belief of page 1 equality, which is false, was kind of just, accepting that, or kind of implicitly agreeing without even thinking about it, that, yeah, every boudoir photographer gets, 0 or 1 slots on page 1. And if I lose, if I was on page 1, but then I got knocked off by new boudoir photographer with their website, that's what happens. And, I've seen that this is the #1, from what I've seen, this is the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses, is simply accepting this as, assuming as normal. It's not normal. It's not normal to have this few number of slots on page 1 of Google. It's not normal to, be knocked off page 1 and just lie there like that. Google actually will give us as many page 1 slots on Google as we want to take with our effort. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 on Google in 10 days by using this new method I've developed. And so the false belief of page 1 equality, or AKA falsely believing that there's nothing we can do to hop back up on page 1 from page 2, has been, from what I've seen, the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. Because now we know approximately 80% of searches will never even see you if you're on page 2. And we also know that boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So we're building up our universe here on the left side, our micro universe. We got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by the 2 horns of market saturation and page 1, the false belief of page 1 equality, which makes people believe nothing's possible, nothing can help them. but it's, kind of a box that they're stuck in, but they break through the box, they puncture through the box, they can see outside and they see, oh, there's a solution. Because finally, we did find a solution because we invented it. Discovered that BSS Boudoir search sameness is treated with social search saturation, aka our S cubed methodology. And it works exactly as it says, social search saturation. We saturate social search for the highest intent keywords that boudoir buyers are searching right now to buy boudoir photo shoot in our city. Highest intent, closest to the money, easiest to convert, highest conversion rates. And the interesting thing about S-cubed methodology is this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that can successfully outcompete a saturated market, and it can work relatively quickly. Obviously, the one other solution would be brand, having a brand, but dude, that takes like minimum 5 years or 10 years to get. We ain't got that time anymore. AI is taking more people's jobs. We need maximum page one on Google now. So, how does S-cubed methodology successfully overcome and still grow a business with massive market saturation of boudoir photographers entering the market? So, let's say we got a million boudoir photographers, and we're in Austin, Texas. We're one of them. Everyone's got a website saying they're a boudoir photographer, and everyone's trying to rank page one on Google, because that is still where approximately 90% of searches go. And we decided to max out S-cubed methodology. So we're ranking for the highest buyer intent keywords across social search, so across all the social networks. Let's say we're taking like the first 300 slots, and as a result, we are these are kind of the small streams, the small rivers off the backside of the Andes that then flow into the Amazon River, big Amazon River, which is page one on Google. So we're also taking the first 300 slots page one on Google. Well, first 300 slots on Google, 10 organic slots per page on Google. That'd be the first 30 pages. We're taking them all up. And so anytime a buyer searches for a boudoir photographer in Austin, anywhere on social or on Google, basically like, on Google, I gotta go to page like 31 to essentially see any of our competitors. And we already know approximately 80% of searches never even hit page two. They're page one only searches. So basically no one's gone to page 31. And so in this case, even if there's a million boudoir photographers, whose boudoir photography business is growing? Ours. Well, actually maxed out S-cubed methodology. We took over all this social search. We saturated it, and as a result, saturates Google search as well on Google page one. So, and this thing works way faster than building a brand. And also, S-cubed methodology is the fastest way to build a brand. It helps to build a brand, cuts down the time on building a brand. So it's like extra benefit, long-term benefit with that. Now, once we treat BSS with S-cubed methodology, we have page one visibility. So an initial benefit of this is we're kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one, effectively making them invisible. Now, this is awesome because this happens instantly. For every slot we take on page one on Google, we're kicking another boudoir photographer off and essentially making them invisible because we know that, and approximately 80% of Google searches never even reach page two. They stay they're page one only searches. So, we're essentially making an entire competitor disappear. So this is like an initial bonus that we get right ASAP, along with our, our slots on page one that we get. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us, BSV. And with this, we actually want to hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one. And when we do that, we want to hit recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 because basically all the other boudoir photographers will, they'll have 1 out of 10 if they're even on page one. And so our 3 versus their 1, we're going to look amazing. Kind of subconsciously, buyers are going to say, oh, why does Google keep recommending this person over and over and over? Maybe they'll only click on our 3 links and not even look at any of our competitors. Who knows? There's also the very, very small chance someone may have 2 slots on page one. So, do 3 slots, basically dominating everyone, no matter who's on page one. And that's boudoir search visibility. And we also know that boudoir photographer with BSV, boudoir search visibility, is a visible boudoir photographer VBP. So we got our micro universe here, a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. caused by the twin horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. Thankfully, we now have a solution. S-cubed methodology works way faster than 5 to 10 years to build a brand. We achieve page one visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, now my results using basically, so my results using S-cubed methodology. I want to rank for the keyword term BLCS boudoir. I want to rank as much as I could page one on Google. So go here to the invisible slots, or the organic slots. We got slot 1 here, me. Slot 2 here, me. Slot 3 here, me. Slot 4 here, TikTok, me. Slot 5 here, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10, me. So in 10 days, I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1. And we actually did this all with S-cubed methodology, pure S-cubed. We did not, in 10 days. So, okay, I know these are results I got. Now we got the main event here. You can see this boudoir photography business has BSS for its local search, Aliso Viejo, California, or its city search, This one I actually made pretty broad, OC, Orange County, California. So let's check that out. All right, so Aliso Viejo, California. All right, let's go to the organics. Boom, we got organic 1. Ooh, nice. We got organic 2, or we got second slot there, slot number 3. So we got 2 out of 10. Boom, we got 3 out of 10 with the Yelp. 4, Event Detective. I'll take that. 5, MapQuest. All right, awesome. Perfect, dude. 5 out of 10. Dude, anything three is the minimum we want to hit. So good. We do not have BSS for local. That's a default. We should never be. Dude, we should be dominating local. Every boudoir photographer can dominate their local search. So 5 out of 10. So we do not have BSS, and we hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google. And guess what? The more slots we take up on page 1 on Google, the more competitors we kick off, the more people who want to buy from us will never even find our competitors, because approximately 80% of all Google searches are page 1 only. They never even go to page 2. So boom, that's local. Let's check out larger. Now, technically this is not city, this is county, OC Orange County, but there was no big city. I mean, I could have done Anaheim, but they were too far away from Anaheim. So let's see. All right, we're looking. All right, here we go. Got 1. 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. All right, so we got 1 out of 10. So we do have BSS for the larger city search, or in this case, the county search. So we'll treat this as the quasi-city search. So we do have BSS for the city search, and we are not hitting the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 for the city search. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've actually done your local searches, done your city searches for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in your city, and you're seeing you had either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 Google search for any of those searches, or you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10 slots for any of those searches, and you've accepted the fact that the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief, and you actually see an S-cubed methodology is the only way forward, and you've actually been waiting for something like this. You're loving the initial benefits, more slots page 1 on Google. You're especially loving kicking competitors off page 1 on Google, reducing them, page 2 or deeper, where we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even reach page 2. So make them visible to essentially approximately 80% of the marketplace. And you're looking ahead, and you're saying, man, AI is taking a lot of people's jobs right now. It's going to take even more and more people's jobs in the future. Last time that happened, COVID, a ton of boudoir photographers entered the marketplace because everyone's got a super powered smartphone, got awesome camera, and everyone still needs to earn money. So guess what? You already are anticipating a massive market saturation, already more than, kind of standard people upgrading their gear. So way more on top of that. and you realize, man, you actually got to fortify your position on page one Google search. You need to have actually so many links that Google could rank page one in Google search that it runs out of slots, and then you start filling up page 2, 3, 4. Basically fortify your position so much that so that no current boudoir photographer can ever rank on page one again, nor could any future boudoir photographer that comes in because AI took their job ever has the chance to rank again. And so you're saying, man, how to get all those links kind of circulating. And you're saying, again, S-cubed methodology is the only methodology that enables that. You're also liking that, kind of the way this technology works is we're building up these invisible thematic keyword columns around our brand, basically plug into our brand for the different keywords we're utilizing and ranking for, that every day we successfully execute S-cubed methodology, we're actually increasing the probability to be shown up here way at the top, AI overview. The most premium placement is an organic placement. We can now buy this, cannot pay for this with ads. So increasing the probability of being here every day, the most premium placement on the page. There's some people that will just come here, click, and buy from this person. We're also increasing the probability every single day that AI, search apps recommend us as well. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot. Every day we successfully execute S-cubed methodology, we're increasing probably these guys recommend us for their, basically in their search. And last time I searched for boudoir photographer in a city, I actually, ChatGPT, I did with ChatGPT, it recommended me 3 peeps. And then went and looked manually, Google search, manual Facebook search. And dude, there's like 60 boudoir photographers in the city. So I'm like, man, we got to find a way to get one of these 3, AI recommended slots in the AI search apps ASAP. And you're saying S-cubed methodology is the only solution that can give you that benefit as well. And you're seeing that the kind of showing up on all these surfaces over time, social search, Google search, and these invisible thematic keywords attached to us. We're actually building our brand at an estimated 8x rate, kind of fast tracking us, getting a large, well-known brand in our city so that market saturation affects us way less. You also understand my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city. So you can actually get all these benefits, build all this AI mindshare momentum in the back end keywords, these invisible thematic keyword columns attached to your brand, kind of your social handles, your name, your website name, and prevent your competitors from participating, getting any of these benefits at all. So build up basically like a massive gap that approximately no competitor currently or in the future will ever be able to overcome. So you decide to be a first mover advantage and hop on this first because you understand the converse, which is one of your boudoir photographer competitors in your city signing on with me first. They get all these benefits, more slots page 1 on Google, kicking people like you off page 1 of Google off to page 2, 3, 4, or even deeper, fortifying their position so basically none of their competitors, including you, basically ever have a chance to rank page 1 on Google. Build up such a massive backend AI keyword mindshare so that the no competitors, including you, basically have ever a chance to catch up with them, being recommended for AI overview and recommended in AI search, and building up their brand so much faster, approximately 8x faster than any other strategy. And you're realizing to compete in that scenario, you would actually have to rederive S-cubed methodology for yourself on your own. You would never actually be 100% confident you successfully derived it. And then you'd have to go and successfully equal our daily execution of that methodology. And if you did all that, you would simply be maintaining the current gap me and your competitor have already achieved ahead of you. So to make inroads, kind of make some distance on that gap, close that gap, you'd actually have to double or triple our output every single day. And then if you did that, you actually wouldn't even be confident to put in that much time because again, you would never be 100% confident you've derived the methodology correctly in the first place. And then even if you did, who's got 80 hours to do all that? So you realize on all that, and you're like, screw that. You decide to be the first mover, sign on first, get this out of the way, make sure you don't miss out on this opportunity. So if that's you, shoot me a DM. The hospital is currently closed for new patients, but when the hospital does open for new patients, shoot us a DM, and we will see if you qualify for utilizing our S cubed methodology.